I was living in Boston. I woke up at 3 a.m. or so by my cat jumping up on my bed and curling in between my calf muscles and going to sleep. My cat would do this every night since I was 5 years old. That was his spot. It was something I was very familiar with. The thing is, my cat was living with my parents on the West Coast, so I couldn't understand what the hell I just felt, but I just knew it was my cat. I just figured I was dreaming or something. I got a call from my parents the following morning that my cat had died around midnight the previous night. About 3 hours behind since I was on the East Coast. I guess that was my cat traveling to Boston to come see me one last time. Maybe around age 14, early 90s, we were traveling from Texas up to Tacoma, Washington. We were about out of money, almost out of gas, no food, stuck in Chico, California. I sat in the car while my mom took my younger sisters to the restroom at the gas station. I was riddled with anxiety about our situation and looking down. The car door opened and I looked up. A lady that looked like a brown-haired Brady mom sat in the seat and faced me. She said, "It seems like you're down on your luck. Take this and give it to your mom. Tell her to pay it forward someday to someone who needs it." I looked down into my hand and there was a $100 bill. I looked up and she had disappeared. Nowhere in the parking lot, just vanished. I cried. When mom came back, I told her what happened and she cried too. We got gas. There was a guy selling oranges on the side of the road and we bought a bag and went to a local park that had a part of the river with a little spillway dam, and we went swimming and ate oranges for a couple of hours before getting back on the road. I never saw the lady again, but she saved us and we did make it up to Tacoma to start our new life. In college, I was roommates with my childhood best friend for about 2 years. We were very trusting with each other. We would go into each other's room freely and grab whatever we needed. To borrow clothes, hairbrush, perfume, etc. No questions asked. Just a knock if we were in the room to let each other know we were going in. Our rooms are across the hall from each other, with the hall facing the kitchen. So from our kitchen, you could see down the hall where our rooms were. At the time, my friend had very long black hair and she's very fair-skinned. One day, I get home from work with my headphones in my ear talking to my mom about my day. I go in the kitchen and grab a snack. I see her walk out of her room and go into mine, leave my room and go back into hers. She looked like she had just gotten out of the shower. Her hair was soaking wet and she was wrapped in a white towel. Her long black, wet hair is what I distinctly remember. Also, she made no eye contact with me, but I didn't think it was weird. I didn't say anything to her since borrowing each other's stuff was normal. I'm still on the phone with my mom, so I don't think much of it. I grab my snack, hang up with my mom, and go into my room and watch TV. I figure she's getting ready to go somewhere and that we would talk later. About an hour had passed, and I go into the kitchen to clean the plate I ate on. I see her in the kitchen making something to eat and I tell her, "Hey, what did you grab from my room earlier? Did you find what you needed?" She looks at me like if I was crazy and says, "What are you talking about?" So I say, "Yeah, earlier when I got home, I saw you go into my room and grab something. Did you get what you needed?" Sorry I didn't say hi. I was on the phone with my mom. She asked me if I was sure I saw her. I said, yes, 100%. She tells me to grab my phone and go to her car ASAP, that she needs to show me something. I had my phone on me, and she grabbed my keys from the kitchen counters along with her purse, and she drags me out the front door and into her car. She then tells me she got home maybe like 5 minutes before we started talking. She had spent the night at her boyfriend's and hadn't been home all day, so she had no idea who I saw. I'll never forget the look on her face when she told me this, complete fear and panic. She called the cops and they came along with the apartment manager. They checked the whole apartment and found no one. Nothing amiss. And they were in there a while, checking every nook and cranny. The manager got maintenance to change our locks and gave us new keys that day. My friend then tells me that for a week, she'd been hearing noises from her bathroom like bottles moving. And when she went to check, she just found nothing. I have no idea who I saw going in and out of our room, but it looked exactly like my friend. I don't drink or do drugs. I'm not on meds. This was in 2014, and I still freak out when I think about it. I had a recurring nightmare of a pitch black parasite sucking the life out of me. Sometimes it waited for me in dark corners to go to bed. My cats always slept on my bed during that time. For me, it was a very stressful time. I got an itch in the place of my chest where I dreamed the parasite was sucking the life out of me. I got sick and felt a pea-sized lump. I went to my doctor and they ordered a biopsy of the lump. As it turned out, I had male breast cancer at the age of 28. After I got well again, the dream never came back and my cats slept in their places again and not on my bed. The dream was creepy enough, but what made it for me was that my cats seemingly were protecting me. I once caught my neighbor staring at me outside my bedroom window while I was straightening my hair with no trousers on. I immediately ducked under my window pane as soon as I saw him. He legit stood in this alleyway that connects to the back street gardens, arms crossed in there for at least 15 more minutes just staring through my window. I even got a picture of it. I'm pretty sure I was 15 at the time. Once I was hired to load firewood into my aunt's basement. She lives alone and left the basement door open for me while she went out. I usually swing the interior basement door as wide as I can when I walk in, and the door almost never closes completely. But once I heard it close, and when I was about to grab another load, I saw that the deadbolt locked. When I walk in, my arms are filled with firewood, so I wouldn't be able to lock it myself. I look out the window and check the garage to see if she came home, but she wasn't there. The door itself wasn't closed, so no wind was able to shut it if there was. I tried various ways of slamming the door so it would lock by itself, but nothing worked. It's an isolated house, so I would have heard someone drive up, and it's highly unlikely someone walked over just to lock the door and leave, and time it while I was piling up firewood. And there's wooden steps, so I would have been able to hear someone walking down them. It's the only time I've ever seen a deadbolt lock itself in my life. It was just a normal Saturday night. I was watching TV home alone with my two dogs when I heard a banging sound coming from the basement. It legitimately sounded like someone was just banging something on the appliances we had down there. Now, there isn't any access into the basement from down there, only through the upstairs room that I was in, and I knew nobody could have come in and got it past me. So, with this knowledge, I was not as scared as you may think. More curious as to what the heck that noise was. One of the two dogs, who is a meathead and wants to fight everybody, also heard the noise and was now bolting down into the basement to investigate. I get down and see that it is my other dog, banging his head into our dryer and chest freezer, which are next to each other. My meathead dog had just stood there watching, so confused, so I approach my other dog and calm him down, and we all go back upstairs. Now this freaked the heck out of me and upset me, as it seems such very strange behavior for my dog to do. Fast forward only like 30 minutes or so, and the banging starts again. I instantly look over to my dog, but he is laid down, but now also aware of the noise downstairs. We round down into the basement and is the meathead now banging his head in between the appliances. Again, I now calm meathead down and we all go back upstairs. Nothing has ever happened again since that night. 3 years now. So that ruled out brain tumors, which is what I read online about why maybe dogs bang their head, but two dogs suddenly on the same night and only affecting one of them at any given time. 3 years and the three of us never talk about that night. My husband recently took an overnight job to help us out during pandemic. He's only been there about 2 weeks and works evening and overnights from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. Last night was no different. He left home around 8:15. Our daughter, age 11, and I decided to make it a movie night. Around 11 p.m., I heard keys in my back door, the usual sound my husband makes when he comes home. I creep out through the kitchen to make sure it was him, and it was. He told me he needed to grab his knee compression sleeve, walks down the hall, says hi to our daughter as he passes the living room, and goes upstairs. He came back down and gave me a kiss and left again. We finished our movie and went to bed. In the morning when he got home, I made a joking comment about him forgetting his knee sleeve. He was genuinely confused as I recalled the previous night. Our daughter confirmed everything I said and he was still acting confused. I pulled up our security motion camera on my phone to show him when he popped in real quick. There was no footage from the night before, or any other night, of him coming home after he left from work. My daughter and I both heard him, saw him, and I touched him, but he was never home during that time. Nothing else out of the ordinary happened that night. We seriously have no idea what happened. There was a kid in another class at my school in 6th grade that was a genius. And I don't mean like, oh, he's really smart because he doesn't need to do the homework and still gets 100. Like, he was doing advanced calculus with a local college professor after school. This kid was smarter than everyone. So one day our computer system for the entire school goes down. I was in a poor area at the time, so this was normal. This would occur so many times that it wouldn't affect us because we barely used laptops and such. The only class that was affected was the computer class. The kid was in the computer class. 3 or so hours later, when I'm in class with him during social studies, 3 guys with FBI jackets on and our local chief escorted him out of the building. We were told nothing. The parents were told nothing. It never hit the news. To this day, we have no clue what he did, except every single teacher I asked about this says they were also told nothing. I haven't seen the kid since, and I can't find a trace of him going to another school or ending up in trouble. He just fell off the face of the earth with his parents. Yeah, I forgot to mention that his parents also disappeared and no one really looked for them after a month or so. I still think about that kid. My great-grandma and my mother were very close, but lived overseas from one another my whole life. They talked on the phone every Sunday, but because it was an international call, it was extremely expensive. So they took turns calling each Sunday at 8 a.m. to make the cost equal. However, due to a 4-minute difference in clocks, Nana always ended up calling at 8:04. Also, the caller ID never showed up. Mom called on a Sunday. Nana died on a Tuesday. The following week, we're sitting at the table eating breakfast, and Mom notices it's 7:50 a.m. Nana would have been calling any minute. She gets emotional. I comfort her. Then at 8:04, the fucking phone rings. The caller ID reads, unknown caller. We look at each other like, what is this, some sort of sick joke? She answers. There's nothing but static at the other line, and some garbled voice recording. The only decipherable words in it are, we hope you enjoy your trip to paradise. Click. The phone cuts off. Absolutely no explanation for that one. It still baffles me to this day. I woke up in the bath at a very specific time, like 5:45 twice. 10 years in between. Water was getting cold. I was naked. No memory of getting there. Some fragments of like seeing my own hand turning the tap. No drugs or alcohol or even medication were involved. The worst thing was the fear. When I woke up, I felt an inexplicable, almost primordial dread. It lasted for hours. I was shaking and couldn't function. It still freaks me out thinking about it. Might have been 3 times, I can't remember properly. I still get the shakes from the memory.
In this little shop of horrors, that's how we get down. Yeah, enter, the project's on the prairie, scary. Meet you at the gate with Bloody Marys. Blood, a rail full of blood. Back to the cemetery, get more blood. Standing on the grave, drinking blood, smoking bones. We case. They lust to bust a black skull, want your embrace. They tie you up in chains and they stomp on your face. They go to purgatory and they beat the fucking case. I look around, mad bodies being